Okay, this is Jacob Schmitt with HuntFishLife.com. This video here, I'm just going to talk about a tournament that me and my wife just fished yesterday. Today, as I'm recording this, is March the 31st. So if you're watching it at a later date, you know, it's a tournament that we fished March the 30th. It's Trader Bill's tournament, and it's here in Arkansas. It's a pretty good sized tournament. It's 107 boats was in the tournament, and me and my wife finished 14th. We finished the first place into the money. I was happy with the way we done. Very frustrated because we took out in the last flight, and our batteries went dead, completely dead. Our trolling batteries went dead completely. An hour and a half still left to fish, and we were really catching the fish good. But anyway, so this video here, I'm just going to kind of show you the area we were fishing, why the fish were there. I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a couple of the baits that we use to catch the fish and why they would work. Okay, so let's talk about the bait. So the bait that I use, pretty much, this is the actual bait before I've done anything to it. This is it's a jig. It's a Billy Mack jig. You can look them up. I just know it's a Billy Mack signature jig. I swim this jig a lot. This particular jig here, it's got you can swim it pretty good. I do some modifications to it though. I don't just throw this jig out there like this. This is just the jig, just like it would come out of the package. If you notice the weed guard's really long, I trim the weed guard back. I'll actually show you the jig that I caught the fish on. And it's a really good bait. I've won couple tournaments with this bait. But if you notice here, I've trimmed the weed guard back where it's just to the tip of the hook. This jig actually is about wore out. I put a trailer on there, and actually the trailer I put on there, it's a Reaction Innovation skinny dipper. It's just a swim bait. I kind of try to match my swim bait color with my head, which obviously if you're looking at this, I'm imitating a shad. Got the white, and you got a little bit of chartreuse and stuff. It really imitates a shad here. But what I do is I cut the head off, cut it off to about right here. Just take a pair of scissors and just snip it off. As you can see on this bait here, I cut it off and I put it on there. Now, the other modification that I make to the actual jig, you notice this skirt, which this skirt's been tore up. I've caught a lot of fish on this particular bait. So this one's about wore out. But what I do is I take the skirt and I trim it. Take a pair of scissors and I trim it right to the bottom of that hook. Okay, and then I will come up and I'll trim just a few of them about halfway from there, and it really makes that fluff out on you. So that's my bait that I used. Really, what I was doing was swimming this through bushes and crashing into bushes, little bushes and things like that, little sticks. Stuff like that. It's really weedless. I was using, because I was fishing around wood, I was using 20-pound test fluorocarbon line. Had I been fishing around grass, definitely would have been using 30-pound braid. But with wood, I like the fluorocarbon line. It doesn't cut into the wood as bad. Where braid's really thin, it'll cut into the wood, especially if you get a fish on. It can cut into the wood and you can have a hard time getting them out. So I was using the fluorocarbon line. I was actually swimming it at what I would call a medium pace. Swimming this, crashing it, bumping it into the bushes, and really catching the fish that were moving up into spawn. The biggest one I caught was 3.5 pounds. Didn't have it on film because it had started raining and stuff. My battery went dead on my GoPro, and I didn't want to open the actual GoPro up and take a chance of getting water inside the GoPro. So the biggest one that I caught, I didn't have on film, but I have a few others that I have on film. We culled several times, probably caught 15, 20 keepers total. Batteries went dead. I was kind of upset because we were at the bottom of the money, and each upgrade was going to be stepping us up another $100, $200 at least. Hey, you're not going to help. And, you know, a really big fish could, put us up there close to, to winning. But, a big fish or two could put us in contention for winning the thing, which anyways, So that's the bait I threw. I caught one fish on a jerk bait after our battery was dead. I was trying to let the wind just blow me down the steep banks and fish, and caught one fish and had 2 bites on a jerk bait. Actually, I didn't. I had 1 bite and caught 1 fish, and I actually hooked a big shad, but I couldn't fish it. I just couldn't do nothing. The wind was blowing really hard. Now my wife, she caught our first keeper, which was our second biggest fish, which was like Misty catches the first keeper. She wasn't on film because we only have 1 camera. It's 213 on a whopper plopper. Okay, topwater bait. She caught it really early, and this is a river to sea whopper plopper. And when the fish start moving up shallow, the fish will start hitting a topwater bait a little bit. So it's a key bait. Usually your fish average size is going to be a little better on a bait like this. You're going to have decent size. I got it. Come on, pick it up. Oh, there's number 5. 110, it's the medium size one. So that's the baits we caught it on. And then this one here, I'm fishing it with the 30-pound braid. She fishes on a spinning rod because that's all she knows how to really throw. But if I knew how to use a bait caster, I would definitely have this on a bait caster if you know how to use one. And this is a open water bait for shore. You see the treble hooks. You don't want to get it too close to much anything. It's going to almost hook anything you come in contact with them treble hooks. So the area that we were fishing was a cove. Back at the cove, I started out on the point and covered water fast, really covering some water quick, and noticed that I seen fish activity towards the back of the cove. I was actually got back in there, couldn't catch none of them, and was just about to leave, and I seen a fish jump, and I was like, man, I'm not going to give up yet. That looked like a bass, and I went up on a point, and secondary point, and I looked back in the cove, and I actually seen a decent sized fish chasing a shad or something, and it chased it up in the bushes. And at that point, I was throwing a jerk bait, okay. And I think that was the reason we wasn't catching any. We were throwing the wrong baits. When I seen it go up in the bushes, I said, I got to have something that will that I can throw up in these bushes and effectively cover water. And that's what this bait is. That's what I use a swim jig for. And you can change colors, use different colors. I just felt like that these fish looked like they were chasing something that was somewhat of a white color. I think they were chasing shad. So I wanted to kind of match that a little bit to what they were chasing. But this bait I could effectively cover water through somewhat thick bushes, not super thick, but I could cover a lot of water. And that's the thing when you're bass fishing or anything. You want to what is the most effective bait and the effective way to cover the area where you feel like the fish are. Obviously, there was no way I was throwing a jerkbait up in these bushes. For one, is about 1.5 feet, 2 foot deep at the most. Jerkbait would just stay hung up the entire time. So that was out of the question. So one of my favorite baits for that situation is a swim jig, swimming a jig. You can pitch a jig up in there. You can hop a jig on the bottom. There's several ways to do it, but I chose to swim the jig, at least starting out, because I could cover more water. I could cover water faster swimming it, throwing it out and retrieving it in fairly quick. And it worked really fast. Once I switched to this, we had our limit in about 10 minutes. We caught the first fish, and within 15 minutes later we had our limit, and just a couple minutes after that we caught our first fish, and then just steadily upgraded the entire day. At least 2. That's what we're talking about right there. That's 2+. The rain moved in. We caught a couple fish after that. Caught the biggest one, which was exciting, and really felt like we were doing well, and we were doing good. Out of 100 and 7 boats, we finished 14th, but I felt like that we should have been able to upgrade a couple more times. I think it's number 4 I got a cool in it. Yeah. Look for number 4. No, number 2. I gotta get number 2 out. I'll get it. I want to be discreet. I don't want to realize we're freaking cooling. And cool a couple more fish, at least 1 in an hour and a half at the rate that we were catching fish. And the batteries went dead, and I mean literally dead. On 100%, the prop on the trolling motor was spinning slower than it would if I had it on 10% on its lowest setting. So that stuff happens. I will tell you one thing, I'm really aggravated about my trolling motor batteries. I have had more problems in tournaments with trolling motor batteries than anything else. I have had 5 different occasions. I was counting this morning. 5 occasions I've had trolling motor issues, with batteries on 5 occasions. I take care of my batteries. I'm almost to the conclusion now. Just going and buying the cheap Walmart batteries and changing them every single year. February, first tournament comes up, put a brand new set of batteries in there and fish it. And every single year, put 2 new batteries in my boat. That's about where I'm at. I don't know if any of you guys have any more suggestions or something you could share with me. Maybe some of you guys are battery experts. I don't know. If you do, please leave a comment below in the comment section and share it with me. Some research if you know something that I can look at, because it's frustrating. And I know if it's frustrating for me, it's frustrating for some other guys out there, because I feel like it definitely cost me money in this last tournament because I was on the fish and was catching the fish and could not fish. I lost an hour and a half of the tournament, which is huge. And at that time of year, when they're moving up to spawn, that last hour and a half of the tournament is, in my opinion, the key time to catch the bigger fish. So I'm kind of frustrated and aggravated about that. So if any of you guys know anything about the batteries, ways I can improve my battery life in a tournament. I know they take a lot of abuse because I'm draining them down, charging them in the heat, draining them down, charging them in the heat, draining them down, charging them in the heat, fishing tournaments in the summer, multiple days in a row. I know that puts a lot of abuse on the batteries, but it seems to me like batteries should last at least 2 years. I mean, these batteries I bought October of 2017, so they're year and a half old. It just seems to me like that you could get a little more than a year and a half out of a set of batteries. Like I said, as of right now, I'm frustrated to the point that I'm almost just gonna, on my trolling batteries, change them every single year with the cheapest batteries I can find, and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't know, maybe there's something that some of you guys know better than me about it. I'm frustrated with it. We had 11.49, and I definitely feel like we could have got 13 easily. Can't when you can't move anywhere and fish. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out huntfishlife.com for more tips, information, things like that on hunting and fishing. If you like to deer hunt, you can check out my website, deerhuntingschool.com. Have a good day. Bye-bye.